everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited to start my first video of my American Horror Story series. It is my new favourite show, so I'm starting out with a fresh face and my hair tied up in a ponytail. The first thing I'm going to do is take a glue stick, and I'm going to use this to flatten down my eyebrows. Any non-toxic glue stick that you have will do. And then after that, you want to just grab a spoolie and brush them through a few times. This is just going to make sure they don't show through the paint that well, even though that's what we're kind of going for with this look. And if you guys haven't noticed, I have a new camera, so I am kind of working out the glitches, so I do apologize the little mistakes in lighting and stuff like that in this video. Next, I'm just going to set my brows with a translucent powder. It's not very necessary, but I wanted to do it anyways just because I felt like they were still very tacky. I'm then taking my Kryolan Super Clown White Grease Paint, and this is just a white grease paint, and I chose to apply this with a sponge. So my idea in my head was to lightly apply this all over my face and my neck area, but because this product is so intense, as you guys can see, it's way too white for my liking. I was going for a really pale complexion, not a white face paint complexion, so I tried to blend that out to the best of my abilities. But if you guys are using any other product, just apply a little less than I did. And then after that, I'm going to skip because you guys don't really need to see me painting my whole face. Then I'm going to start on my neck area, and according to whatever costume you're wearing, a jacket or a t-shirt, you can just paint whatever's visible to you. After that, I also decided to put a little bit on my ears because my ears are always so freaking red and my body is white, so I thought that would kind of look strange, so I just lightly dabbed that over the top. I'm then taking my Made You Look Fine detailing brush and the Wolf FX Black Water Face Paint. Now, the shape of the eyes, or the skull eyes that Tate have, are quite unique, so I drew two straight lines underneath my eyebrows because his brows are visible with this look. And then I decided it would be easiest to just go under my eye socket area and connect them up into a little teardrop shape, just so they're nice and even. And then I went back in and drew the little triangle on each side because I said earlier it was a very unique shape, so I tried to get them as even as I could because they're just so freaking bizarre. After that, I'm going in with the same black paint and the large eyeshadow brush from Made You Look, and I'm going to start packing on that colour all over my lid. And of course, you guys don't need to see too much footage of this. I'm just going to fill in that whole area, and of course, whenever you're working with paints, you do need to be careful of your eyes as well. Taking that fine detailing brush, I'm just going to create a little wobbly line across the center of my nose, and then I'm just going to create two lines down the side of my nose. You can kind of just shape this to your nose shape just to make it easier for your face. After I've done that, I'm then just going to draw two little lines down the center of my nose that we're going to exclude from painting, so you just want to fill in the rest of the nose. And the reason I've done this is I found that it's very easy to create a highlight like this. So after you've filled in the nose, you then want to just start slimming down that highlight, and then with a fine detailing brush, I just lightly tap over the top of it to break up the highlight a little bit, and I feel like that's so much easier. I'm then going to start on the smile by creating two straight lines extending from my mouth, and I'm then going to start painting the teeth. So you just want to create nice, sharp and straight, even lines all across your lips. After I've completed all of the lines, I'm then going to start creating the top and the bottom of the teeth. So you want to create kind of wonky little half moon shapes, and this is going to really create that cartoony and wonky vibe. I really loved how the teeth were quite large and offset, which is one of my favorite things about this skull. It was quite different to any other one that I've ever done before. So now what I'm doing here is I'm just creating those really circle cheekbones that he has, and then you want to create a smaller version of that on the bottom jaw, and you want to kind of just connect that to a massive straight line up to your ear, and this is going to be your jaw area, and then you just want to connect the whole thing up as well. I hope this is kind of making sense, but you guys can obviously see what I'm doing. So after you do that, you just want to repeat the same thing on the other side of your face as well. Next, I took my fine detailing brush and I painted on a little shape that was kind of like a bone, and you just want to fill in that area, and this is just going to connect up to your jawbone. After I've done that, you want to just sit for about 5 or 10 minutes or get your hair dryer and make sure that all of your face is completely dry, so all of the paint is nice and set before you start shading. So what I'm doing here is I'm using my Take Me to Brazil palette, and I'm going to take the black eyeshadow down the bottom with a flat square brush, and what I'm doing here is I'm going to start applying the shading and the angry expressions on the brows. So you want to kind of just feather that out and have it the darkest where it meets the eye socket, and then kind of just feather it out into the center of your brows. You then want to repeat the same step on the outer edges as well, and this is just going to give it that nice angry expression. After that, I'm then going in the bottom of the eye sockets and just creating almost little wrinkle lines, and I'm going off a reference photo here, so it's really easy if you do follow a reference photo along with the tutorial. So now I'm just going to start feathering out those little wrinkle lines, and then after that I decided to get a little bit off track with the photo, so I started shading the jawbone quite a fair bit, and I'm just going to be applying lots of the colour right up against the jawbone, and then I'm just going to bring the shading down to give it a nice soft gradient. I also decided that I wanted to apply shading in between each of the teeth. Now, you don't have to do this because it isn't exactly in Tate's skull look, but I really feel like it's necessary to shade the teeth on any skull. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going between each of the teeth, and I'm also pulling the colour up and down from the teeth, and then I'm just going to take a blending brush and buff all of that out just to give it a nice smokiness to it, because I feel like it just enhances the look a little more. So after I've done that, I decided to pop in my contacts, and this really brings the look to life. As you guys can see, it really gives me that scary look, and it kind of does make my eyes look like Tate's, which I loved because he has such dark eyes in the show, so it looked perfect when they painted the skull on him. The next thing I'm going to do is take that same black paint and a fine detailing brush, and I'm going to start on the neck area. So the first thing that I did was painted out the spinal cord, and I'm not very great at body painting yet, so I kind of just did this quite messy. So after I painted the little spinal cord, I was going off the reference photo, and I started painting on the little ligaments and muscles that they had. So after I've got the spinal cord down, I started applying a little bit of shading in between each of the little bones, and then I kind of decided that I was just going to start applying muscles and squiggles and lines everywhere, just to make this tutorial a whole lot easier for me and easier for you guys, because I do understand body painting is quite hard, and it's even struggle for me. So what I'm doing here is I'm kind of just applying little lines everywhere, and I started to texture up the spinal cord a little bit too, just to make it look a little bit more interesting and not so block. After that, I kind of just started applying little lines everywhere and had them crisscrossing over each other, and this kind of looked like muscles to me, but then again it was kind of a crappy way to do the neck as well. But you're not really going to be focusing on the neck when you have all of the detail down, so I started shading in little random bits as well and making certain bits darker than others, trying to layer them over the top of each other so you get kind of this layered textured look, I suppose you guys could say. Then after that, I kind of just filled in more of the shading around the spinal cord, and then I kind of just made a rough scratched mark all around the border where my t-shirt was going to go. There's no real point in painting it, but just in case if your jacket slips or something like that. So after that, the neck is completed, and what I did now was I pulled up my singlet and I popped on my leather jacket to finish off the look. I decided to take that black eyeshadow on that blending brush and apply this in certain areas on the neck to give it more shading and more definition, and this really made it stand out that much more. It gave it so much more definition, surprisingly. So after I'd done that, I also decided to set my lids and my under eye area, just because it does tend to crease whenever you put paint on that area. So after I've done that, I just scruffed up my hair, and that is the completed tutorial. I was so happy with how it turned out. I do apologize for my camera being a little bit dull and dark throughout the tutorial. I will have my lighting fixed for the next one, hopefully. So if you guys try out any of my looks, please tag me on Instagram. I would absolutely love to see them. You guys did such an amazing job over Halloween. You just blew me away with your recreations, and I really appreciate everybody for subscribing and for watching. Look out for some Christmas tutorials and some more in my American Horror Story series. I thank you again for watching, and stay safe, everybody. Please don't forget to subscribe.